So today's all about different types of prayer, and I created a list of all the prayers I wanted to share. it was enormous, so we're only going to go under the iceberg a little bit. But I thought I would use every aspect of the service to demonstrate prayer. And as we move into our offering, I can show you the QR image. But also I want to just say that Meister Eckhart, who's one of the great teachers in the Christian tradition, he said that if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life, if it is thank you, then that will be enough. And I think the point of the practice of gratitude, which really does lead to more joy in life and less sadness, is it's an embodying, it's creating an inner landscape. And if we just think for a minute about something that makes us really grateful, if you close your eyes and drop into your body, you can kind of feel your energy going outward. And if you think about something that happened recently that you're not grateful for at all, there's a kind of shutting down. If the only prayer you ever said in your entire life is thank you, it is enough. Now, at the start of the pandemic, Muji, he's a Jamaican teacher, he gave out a wonderful meditation on gratitude, which I thought was rather odd because it was the start of the pandemic. So I tuned into it, and it is wonderful. I'm going to give you 30 seconds of that meditation and post a link in the chat where you can watch the whole thing. But here's a little snippet, and then we'll come back to our prayer of gratitude.
When you are sensitive also to life, to truth, to God, to your inmost being, you will have that energetic indication from inside that there is goodness and love and peace and a lot of richness in life.
You might not know this one. This one is from New Thought, so Unity and Center for Spiritual Living. Michael Gott is one of the hymn writers for that tradition. In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when I feel I've lost my way, when I go inside to quiet my mind, I hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. My heart cries out to you, my God. All that upsets me you see. All that disturbs me you understand. Only here in your presence am I fully known. I am wrapped in grace. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safe keeping, body and soul held in peace. I try to relax, but anger rattles me. I try to relax, but my feelings niggle at me. Be still, be silent. Put your trust in the Lord. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. In the stillness, the light of your face shines. My heart turns to thankfulness and is glad. I have more than enough. You, Lord, are more than enough. I lie down to sleep, safe and sound. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. The Psalms are such a huge part of my prayer life, and I sing them. They're traditionally played with a string instrument like a guitar or a harp and sung. And one of the reasons I do this is to try and internalize the prayer. And I'm going to invite you to do this. I know we're not all singers, so the way that I'm going to invite us to do that is to use a video with the words and speak them out loud. I invite you now to speak the words of the psalm as they appear on the screen. In the audiobook, The Gift of the Blessing, Greg Braden describes the following conversation he had with a Tibetan monk high up in the Himalayas. He was asking the Lama this: "When I see your prayers, what are they doing for you?" And the monk interrupted him and said, "You can't see my prayers. All you see are the tools that make the prayer happen. The prayer is a feeling and not a thing or a word. And then the monk went on to ask Greg, what do you use to make your prayer work? I love that. It's my favourite summary of what prayer is. Prayer is not a petition or a memorized piece of scripture or a way of breathing or a thing you do with prayer beads. These are merely the vehicles for prayer. So let's jump in a little bit more deeply and hear a short video with Alexander John Shaya talking about prayer. He's using a Christian lexicon and language, and I found what he said very, very helpful.
Prayer for me is the ways that I find that quiet anchor inside, and in that stillness I will often feel or hear a presence with me. Sometimes I hear words, sometimes it's just a sensory experience that I know that I'm accompanied by spirit. And in that experience is the message, I'm here and all is well. I'm here and all is well. And whatever brings you to that sort of inner experience and inner knowing is the deepest, for me, the deepest practice of prayer. That could be in the garden, digging with your hands in the earth. It could be quietly sitting on a meditation cushion. It could be reading a prayer book. All of us have got 1,000 ways to use our bodies and ourselves to find that place of inner stillness. And some of those activities are physical actions. Fly fishing can be prayer. Washing the dishes can be prayer. Prayer is when we move our bodies in such a rhythmic way that we still our minds. And when our minds become a bit still, we can hear the comforting message of our God. In these days, it is cutting through the cacophony of outer chaos, which is real and difficult, but it's not what is most real. What is most real is that God is here, and if we stay faithfully on the journey, our work will help God create something fresh in our midst. So the prayer keeps my heart resilient. If I become bitter, resentful, despairing, it dims grace's work in me. It doesn't aid grace's work.
So after he said all that, I'm going to go back and read the psalm again. After all, repetition is one of the key components of prayer. You're welcome to read it with me or just to listen. In the practice of divine reading, Lectio Divina, you do read the same passage over and over again. And when you read it the third or the fourth time, you really ponder and contemplate, how is God speaking to me in my life today through this passage? So you might want to use a bit of contemplation as I read the psalm again. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. My heart cries out to you, my God. All that upsets me you see. All that disturbs me you understand. Only here in your presence am I fully known. I am wrapped in grace. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. I try to relax, but anger rattles me. I try to relax, but my feelings niggle at me. Be still, be silent. Put your trust in the Lord. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. In the stillness, the light of your face shines. My heart turns to thankfulness and is glad. I have more than enough. You, Lord, are more than enough. I lie down to sleep, safe and sound. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. Amen. Now, there's something about internalizing the prayer. One of my theories around prayer is that first you speak the prayer, and then later the prayer speaks you. It lives within you and comes alive in you rather than you giving it breath and life. But there's something really profound about using our language with mindfulness. I've got a little quote for us here from a Native American elder called Paula Gunn Allen. She was a Pueblo poet, literary critic, activist, professor, and novelist. I really like what she says here. Tribal people say that the words are sacred. We don't mean that you're supposed to kneel down and worship them. We mean that you should, in your being, recognize that when you speak, your utterance has consequences inwardly and outwardly, and that you are accountable for those consequences. And I think that's kind of what I mean when I say we're praying all the time, whether we realize it or not. But today we're talking about conscious prayer. And if we're staying on the topic of the Psalms for a minute here, the Psalms are basically the whole array of human experience, including anger, resentment, joy, delight, and fear. A few months ago, I was listening to French nuns chanting one of the cursing psalms. Some of the psalms are like, throw my enemies on the rock. And some of the things the psalms say are really angry and horrible. And this was one of those psalms that they were singing in Latin. I was reading the translation, and I was wondering what these nuns could have done. It felt rather strange that these nuns who were in seclusion were saying these words about violence that are more to do with King David of old than these nuns in this nunnery. And then in a flash, I was like, oh my God, these amazing cloistered, sheltered nuns are making amends and taking on the collective human violence. And it was a flash of inspiration. And what I realized was because when I worked with perpetrators of domestic violence who were violent towards their families, they always excused themselves from everything. Nothing was ever their fault. So how amazing that these nuns were taking this penance upon themselves. I used an adaptation of this last week when we were talking about Indigenous Peoples Day. I used this song, Hopponopono, the Hawaiian chant, which roughly translates as, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I thank you, and I love you. Now, there's two ways that people tend to use this prayer. One is to bring reconciliation into their own life where situations have broken down. But another, some people use it for their clients or for people in their world who are too mentally ill or broken to be able to say this for themselves. There are some medical professionals who use things like the Hopponopono prayer to pray as if they were their clients. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I thank you, and I love you. Another way of doing the same prayer for others is rather than placing the prayers and experiences of others into your own heart, you can place your prayer into the collective heart, the sacred heart, rather than your own heart. I find this especially helpful when the suffering I am praying about and singing about is too great, because as a human I have a tendency to separate and shut down when I'm in too much emotional pain. I used this recently in church when we had the September 11 Sunday, where we were marking 20-year anniversary of that horrendous loss of life and violence. I used a sung prayer to Mary, the Immaculate Heart, or our Sacred Mother. And I'm going to share that with us again now, that prayer, because it's a really wonderful way of pouring healing and light into situations that are slightly too much for us to integrate into ourselves. Please know that many people who are not Catholic or not even Christian find Mother Mary a helpful doorway into the heart of the sacred. Prayers to her somehow transcend our religion. So I'm going to sing Eliza Gilkinson's Requiem. I invite you to hold a prayer for a situation in the world that is very tender and painful and complicated. To place healing where there is none, peace where there is none. Mother Mary, full of grace, awaken. Mother Mary, hear our prayer, awaken. Have mercy on us all. Mother Mary, calm our fears, have mercy. Our world has been shaken, we wander, our homelands forsaken. In the dark night of the soul, bring some comfort to us all. Oh, Mother Mary, come and carry us in your embrace, that our sorrows may be faced. Mary, fill the glass to overflowing. Illuminate the path where we are going. Have mercy on us all. In funeral fires burning, each flame to your mystery returning. In the dark night of the soul, bring some comfort to us all. Oh, Mother Mary, come and carry us in your embrace, that our sorrows may be faced. Mary. I invite you to pause for a second and listen to the space where the song recently was. Let's dive a little bit deeper into contemplative prayer. There, in the Abbey on Iona, they would say, read the Bible in one hand and read the newspaper in the other. Now, I'm not a big reader, so that metaphor never really came alive in me. But what they were really saying is hold action and compassion for this world in one hand, and intimacy and closeness with God, contemplative prayer, in the other. You need both to be strengthened and balanced. Otherwise, you're like a bird trying to fly with just one wing, and you'll just go around in circles. It won't be so effective. Cynthia Bourgeault talks about contemplative prayer as the inward expression of the same intimacy that outwardly is social justice. We're going to hear a little bit about that inward process now. A video on contemplative prayer.
Most of life is a bunch of us walking around sleepwalking, like not fully present, not fully aware, but we all have our own inner dialogue that's connected to our various compulsions and attachments, whether that's to be well liked, or if it's to be in control, or if it's to have a certain kind of sense of security. We're all playing into these programs for happiness, really. And so realizing that this wasn't just my condition, but this was the condition of humanity, really helped me realize that that this isn't just for me, that many of us could benefit from contemplative spirituality and contemplative practice, because even though I'd grown up in the church and took my faith very seriously, most of the ways in which a collective we, growing up in Western Christianity, most of the ways in which we were formed and the way that we prayed was around still being very much in control of the dialogue. So it was much more about what I communicated to God than it was about being really open and receptive to what God might want to communicate in and through me, which gets to the point that contemplative prayer is set apart from other forms of prayer in that its very nature is designed to wake us up to these unconscious motivations that are compelling us to, again, whether it's to please others and to find approval, or if it's to be in control or to have a sense of power, or if it's around a sense of surviving and having security. Playing into those kinds of programs for happiness really takes us away from the present moment and being available to the present. And experiencing God and being connected and in the flow of ultimate reality can only happen in the present moment. And so if we're too consumed with kind of placating our personality, then we miss out on the opportunity to flow with the energy of life that is creative and at work right here, right now. How can I cooperate with it? How can I be a part of that greater source of life and energy and love? Love is that which really creates and connects us to one another. And if we're too self-absorbed in our own crisis of human condition, then we're not able to really be a conduit of that love that is always moving and flowing and connecting and working in and through and with one another, you know?
So many things that she says that jump out. I personally have been trying not to talk about prayer today, but mostly to share examples of it. But there's a few things I do have to say. And one is it's about creating a holy pause so that we can tap into the foreverness in temporal time, so that we can tap into the flow that is bigger than self. Alexander, in the earlier video, he talked about fly fishing, and I thought that was a great example about the movement, because part of prayer often is body prayer. We're going to close with a body prayer at the end, but it's not just about bringing awareness to your body. It's also about tapping into a flow that is beyond self and within self, connecting to that which is much bigger. And one of the ways that I do this is to try and borrow from the monastics and have times of the day that I do certain prayers. Like brushing your teeth might be a perfect time to give thanks for healthcare and to pray for your health, or in the morning to ask for the blessing to start over, and at the end of the day to reflect. Putting pauses into the day is one of my favorite ways of weaving prayer in. And you've probably heard me say many times before that I'm not very keen on Sunday church, and the reason for this is because people think they can just do church 1 hour on a Sunday. No, it has to be woven into every day. And if church on a Sunday is doing its thing really, really well, if we are doing our work well, it will carry with us throughout the weeks. The beautiful songs that the choir sings, all of that will continue to speak to us and sing through us on Monday to Saturday. Another aspect of prayer that's been coming up again and again today in the things that people have been sharing in the videos, but also in my preparation, is that prayer is about a deep dialogue and authenticity with God. Caroline Weiss describes prayer as entering into authentic dialogue with Spirit. Matthew 6:5 says this: "And whenever you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and at street corners, so they might be seen by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward. But whenever you pray, go into your room and shut the door and pray to your parent who is in secret. And your parent, your father, your mother, who sees you in secret, will reward you. And when you're praying, do not heap up empty phrases as the Gentiles do, for they think they will be heard because of their many words. Do not be like them, for your parent in heaven knows what you need before you ask. Pray then this way." And I invite you all to join me. We've got the King James Version. "Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen." There's so much we could say about prayer, but really the point is to actually pray, which is what I tried to share with us today.